Hey everybody, 16 hours and like 4,000 miles later, and here I am in Berlin waiting for IFA 2019 to start. They're doing all kinds of construction behind us, so if it gets loud, hey, that's part of the deal. At any rate, I'm here to show you these. These are the new Sennheiser Momentum wireless headphones, and even though they're not saying as much, I think they're going after Sony. So we're pitting the Sennheiser Momentum Wireless, this is the third edition of these, I believe, against the Sony 1000X M3, because when I think of these headphones, I think of travelers. I mean, that's when I use them the most, so I'm gonna compare them in that light. And right off the bat, you can tell that the Sennheiser case is quite a bit more bulky. It doesn't collapse down any more than this when the headphones are in them. It's also rather soft-sided. There's some reinforcement here, but it's not going to do a whole lot to protect the headphones, I'll tell you. Obviously, the Sony is much more compact, so it takes up less space in your backpack or your suitcase or what have you. So keep that in mind. Popping this open, we'll see we've got the headphones, which we'll take a closer look at in a moment. A couple of notable things here: USB-C to USB-C for charging, and that's a nice long, almost 3-foot cable with a little USB adapter, so you can plug it into a conventional USB port. And then there is a wire for wired playback with a little mini plug on the end there, so you can't use just a standard headphone cable for that. Contrast that with the Sony, which come with a tiny little pigtail of a charging cable, right? That's always driven me nuts about the Sony. A conventional headphone cable, and then there's an airline adapter in there. Not a whole lot of use for that. We'll start with the Sony because I'm super familiar with them. One of the reasons I love them so much is their fold flat design. They're very compact, hence that smaller case. And then when you unfold them, I mean, look, they're super, super plush and soft at the ear cups, very soft and plush on the headband. They're not particularly large, you know? I mean, yeah, they're a full-size headphone, but they're not big and bulky. And most importantly, these are super lightweight. You don't really feel them when you wear them. And when you're having to wear them for a really long time, that's a big deal. The Sennheiser have a very different design. It uses a more conventional stainless steel headband where it kind of hinges on that, so you can adjust pretty easily there, but you know, they don't fold flat, right? Which means that they're a little bit bulkier. They sure are gorgeous though. These are a very classy, slick looking headphone. And as far as the padding goes, I mean, there is ample padding here for sure. Feels very soft when you touch it. Less so on the headband. We've got this sort of ribbed thing going on here, and there's not a whole lot of padding going on there. But when you put them on, that's when you notice that these are significantly heavier than the Sonys, and I found that to be a little problematic. We'll talk about that in a second. You've got your USB charging port here, headphone cable jack there. You have an array of 4 buttons total. This is for volume and playback control. You can also call up Google Assistant and Siri if you want to. Alexa functionality is coming on the way. There is a little power toggle and a manual pairing switch here, but one of the cool things about this set of headphones is that inside the ear cup here is a sensor, so that when you take them off your head, it automatically pauses what you're listening to. Also actually deactivates the noise canceling, so that's going to help save the battery a little bit. And in fact, when you fold them in, they actually turn themselves off. Now let's go back to that comfort theme. I think that's one of the most important aspects of a headphone, because if you don't want to wear them, then what's the point, right? So here's the thing with the Sennheisers. At first, they feel very lightweight. The clamping force feels totally reasonable on my head here. But I can tell you from experience that after about an hour or so of wearing these, it started to wear me down. The clamping force is a little bit more than I like for my type of head. You may get a different experience, so I definitely recommend you try these before you just swear them off, because I am saying that they're not as comfortable as I'd like them to be. Part of that is the headband. There's not enough padding here. You'd think with all that clamping force that it wouldn't rely so much on the headband, but it kind of culminates in this tight feeling experience. You definitely know you're wearing headphones when you wear these. They're gorgeous. I love the design, but ultimately the comfortability leaves something to be desired, and that's kind of a problem if you're on a long flight. Like I said, I spent about 16 hours in a plane, and honestly, I only wanted to wear these for about an hour before I wanted to switch back to my Sonys. So there is this hard power button here, and you can switch these things off manually if you want to, but you don't really have to. The great thing about these is that you can just leave it in the on position, and when you're done using them, it's gonna pause music, turn off the noise canceling, and then when you fold them, they turn off entirely. You can use this switch to deactivate the noise canceling, so it will let sound in case you need to hear your flight attendant or somebody around you. Otherwise, it's a very automated process. Just pull them out of the case, put them on, and the noise canceling is immediately available to you. So yeah, let's dig into that noise canceling aspect. Look, the bottom line is Sony and Bose are still the masters at noise canceling. Nobody can touch them, not even Sennheiser and their amazing engineers. The Sennheiser Momentum Wireless do offer solid noise canceling for everyday situations. Here, I can put them on, drowns out the construction noise behind me, no problem. On the bus, fine. On the train, good. In an automobile, no big deal. But when you get on a plane, everything changes. See, the key to successful noise canceling is that it removes enough of the environmental noise that you actually can hear the sound of the headphones themselves, the quality of the headphones. Now, in everyday use, I can hear that Sennheiser sound quality. Oh my gosh, it's good. These things sound amazing. I've always been a fan of Sennheiser headphones. All the magic of Sennheiser's engineering is right here. They're balanced. A nice, substantial amount of bass without getting in the way of anything. Mid-range is super clear and liquid, and the highs are dazzling. There's a lot of detail, no sibilance. I mean, top to bottom, just one of the best sounding headphones that you can buy until you get on a plane. And then the noise canceling has to come into play, and it's got to remove all of that wash. And unfortunately, it just doesn't do that. On a plane, these don't sound better than any other headphone. Definitely not better than the Sony, and not quite as good as the Bose either, because the noise canceling isn't removing enough of that noise in order for you to hear that amazing sound quality, which is kind of a disappointment, especially considering we're talking about a $400 headphone here. 400 bucks for the Sennheiser Momentum Wireless versus $350 to even just $300 for the Sony 1000XM3. I mean, between the two, for hardcore travelers, I gotta pick the Sony. I don't think that the Sennheiser step up well enough there. However, if you're not a frequent flyer and that's not a big concern for you, you just need substantial noise canceling with amazing sound quality, that's where these come in. There's no better sounding noise canceling headphone on the market that I can think of, certainly not one that I've reviewed. So if you're an audiophile and the sound quality is the #1 consideration, definitely give these a look. They're gonna cost you a little bit extra, but the sound quality brings it home for that 400 bucks.